Soon we arrive in front of a large, elaborate mansion. It looks very out of place compared to the modest shops in the rest of the town. 2 men guard the entrance. Zack pauses and sizes up the guards. Use the element of surprise for 2 quick sneak attacks. Talk your way in. I mean, I think that we should be as diplomatic as possible, you know? Like, I definitely think that some shady business is going on here, but I don't think that the best thing is to resort immediately to violence. Talk your way in. We should ask them if we can see the mayor.
I doubt that would work.
It doesn't hurt to try.
Well, the thing is, if we just immediately attack them, if we are the ones who, if we're the aggressors, if we preemptively initiate something like this, that doesn't really prove anything, you know? Like, it might get rid of the problem, but then, like, kind of the underlying situation still exists. The sort of corruption could just take place again if we don't first change, like, the mindset of people. And so if we just, you know, brute force our way in, sure, we might accomplish something today, but what will it affect in the long run? We need instead to be on the defensive. Proactive still, but, you know, if we're going to fight, it's going to be because they started it. Zack frowns, but after some thought, he nods.
We'll try that first. If that fails, we go to Plan B.
Which we haven't discussed, by the way, so none of us should know what Plan B is. Plan B? Okay, good. Zack has already moved towards the guards and doesn't hear my question. I face Leanna. Do you know what his Plan B is? She shakes her head.
Let's just hope it doesn't resort to that.
Yeah. We catch up to Zack.
Halt! What is your business here?
We're here to see the mayor.
Does he expect your audience?
Zack shakes his head.
No, but I need to speak with him about this latest tax hike.
The tax hike?
The guards glance at each other and lower their weapons slightly. It almost seems as if they disapprove of the taxes too.
You guys don't seem too happy with the taxes either.
One of the guards hesitates, then nods.
My sister runs the bakery in town, and the taxes have been hurting her business.
Well, yeah.
Then why haven't you done anything about it?
We tried, as have some of the other guards. When we protested, the treasurer recommended the mayor hire real guards.
He glowers as he mentions the treasurer.
Treasurer?
Yeah, things have gotten really strange ever since he came to town. Suddenly the mayor is passing crazy rules he never would have passed before.
Gotcha. The other guard elbows his comrade.
Quiet down. Do you want one of his lackeys to hear?
The first guard frowns and falls silent. Leanna raises a hand to her chin in thought.
This treasurer sounds really suspicious.
Yeah, he does. The guard motions to her manipulator.
Wait, you're a mage knight?
Leanna blinks.
Yes, that's correct.
Can you scan the treasurer for magic use? I swear, he's doing...
Not your crazy theories again. They already have a court mage to see to that.
Yes, a court mage who was assigned by the treasurer.
Oh yeah, that is an issue. The second guard frowns but doesn't reply.
If we let you through, will you just scan around and see if you notice anything?
Leanna nods.
Yes, I'll do what I can.
Just be careful. Some of the treasurer's hired guards may not be so fond of you poking around.
I believe that. Both guards step to the side.
On your way.
Let's go.
Also want to point out that if we had just performed a sneak attack, these 2 guards seem to be innocent. Ha! Zack leads the way again. We follow behind as Leanna fiddles with her manipulator. As we progress through the mansion, we pass unnoticed by the clerks and guards milling about. We pass unnoticed by the guards. Feel like they're not great at their job. They must assume we have a reason to be here if we got through the front door. I guess. Leanna stares intently at her manipulator, her brow furrowed in confusion. I mean, it's one thing to, like, not pay attention to people, but it's another thing to not notice people. Leanna stares intently at her manipulator, her brow furrowed in confusion.
This doesn't make any sense.
What is it?
The readings. They're so erratic. It's almost like there's... But there can't be.
There's what? Hey, we said the same thing.
Shadow magic.
Oh. Zack looks sharply at Leanna.
Shadow magic.
She reluctantly nods. Zack sets his jaw and tightens the grip on his dischargers. So, shadow magic. Someone mind telling me what that is?
It's forbidden magic.
She's entirely focused on her manipulator.
It's coming from...
She jogs down a hallway and stops in front of a mahogany... Excuse me. In front of mahogany double doors, not a mahogany.
Behind there.
Suddenly, a voice calls out from behind us.
It's you!
Standing down the hall is the same guard from the shop.
How did you get in here? Intruders!
All eyes fall on us as he begins yelling. The guards who previously ignored us now draw their weapons as they close in. And that comma. And that comma. Why is that comma there? Zack pulls out his dischargers.
You go deal with whatever that is. I'll keep them busy here.
Zack kicks down one of the tables and drops behind it for cover.
Go! Now!
As he raises his guns, purple energy swirls to life. He rains a hail of energy bolts down the hall and suppressive fire. Leanna bursts through the doors and I stay at her heels. The noise from the battle gradually fades away as we run deeper into the mansion. Eventually, the hall leads into a study. A carved wooden desk, laden with books and ledgers, is in the center with bookcases surrounding it. A man wearing a hooded dark robe sits at the desk. He scribbles something with one hand while the other hand is hidden within his robe. An older man sits on the other side of the desk. His graying hair sticks out in strange angles and his embroidered clothes are slightly askew. He stares at the open ledgers on the desk, but his eyes are dull, as if they aren't really seeing it. Two guards stand by the doorway, as still as statues, with those same dull eyes. The treasurer rises to his feet.
Who let these two in? I explicitly said no visitors.
Leanna's manipulator pulses wildly, especially when she raises her arm towards him.
It's him! He's the source of the shadow magic!
Neither the mayor nor the guards react.
How dare you make such accusations? Arrest her immediately!
The guards ready their weapons. Stop! We aren't here to fight you!
It's no use! He's influencing them with shadow magic!
Oh no, not influencing people. A gust of wind gathers around Leanna, violently whipping her hair and clothes. It concentrates in her gauntleted palm and she hurls it at them. The wind knocks the guards against the walls and blows open the robe of the treasurer, exposing his hidden hand. Within his palm is a dark crystal sphere. It looks like a marble of darkness and swirling smoke. From within the crystal are shadow tendrils which extend to the mayor and his two conscious guards. Leanna's voice is flat when she speaks. I've never heard her sound so serious before.
A tainted spear, and the branding of void.
It's not really flat.
You have seen too much.
The treasurer raises the black sphere high and shadow energy shoots straight towards Leanna. She raises her hand and creates another ball of wind which she fires at the shadowy bolt. The shadow ball cuts through Leanna's magic like a knife through butter, and her wind scatters harmlessly into the room. Leanna! I dash towards her and knock her out of the way. I take the full brunt of the shadow blast and I'm flung back against the wall. Agony sears my body. I grit through the pain and look at Leanna. It doesn't look like any of the magic hit her. She rushes over, her face a mix of bewilderment and concern. I muster up a smile. Go get him.
That was so reckless.
Leanna unsheathes her blade. A determined fire in her eyes, she faces the treasurer and raises her sword. Her manipulator glows with power which flows into her blade, encasing it in a similar glow. Magic particles swirl around as static sparks of energy lash out from her weapon. In an instant, she dashes towards the treasurer at an inhuman speed. He fires two shadow bolts, but Leanna uses her blade to cut through the air and shoots off two slices of energy which cut through the shadow magic.
What?
Yeah!
There we go. Leanna lunges and charges her blade towards the treasurer. Just before her sword would pierce him, the treasurer throws his tainted sphere to the ground. It shatters apart and the shadowy mist leaks out of the orb, enclosing the room in a dark fog. The thick fog clouds my vision so I can't see anything. As it slowly begins to fade, I make out Leanna watching her surroundings, but the treasure is nowhere to be seen. When she doesn't see her enemy, the glow from her sword fades away.
Oh.
Hey look, the mayor has a face in the corner. Sure. The mayor lets out a throaty groan. He rubs at his head, his eyes now looking groggy, like somebody who has just woken up.
What is...
Leanna sheathes her blade.
Take it easy. You were under the effects of shadow magic.
shadow magic?
So he's not important enough to have his full body, but he's important enough to, for the first time in this game, and I've now been playing for an hour and 47 minutes, to make an appearance in the corner. That's new. That's new. He shakes his head as if to free his thoughts. He must be trying to shake off the lingering effects of the magic.
Is it finally over?
Leanna nods. The mayor takes a few more minutes to compose himself. When his eyes seem more focused, he sighs in relief.
You have my thanks.
Suddenly, the door barges open and Zack races in. Behind him is a wave of guards.
Stop him!
He's with us.
Yeah, that's the problem! The mayor stands unsteadily on his feet, but addresses the guards.
Leave them be. But I said leave them be.
They hesitate and shoot confused glances at each other, but ultimately follow the order and lower their weapons.
Took you guys long enough.
He looks at me.
What are you doing down there?
I groan as I rotate onto my back. Leanna offers me a hand, which I accept.
He took a shadow blast. Aimed for me.
Zack blinks in surprise, but looks impressed.
Seems like you ended up being useful after all.
Yay, being useful! Thanks? Leanna checks her manipulator, but it remains still.
The shadow magic is gone.
The mayor seems much more alert.
It was my treasurer, wasn't it?
Yes, it was! Leanna nods. He sighs heavily and sits back down in his chair.
When he first arrived into town, I thought he would be like all the other travelers and go on his way. But he said he knew how to make this town even greater than what it is now. He had ideas on how we could become more than just a wayward stop.
Gotcha.
The first step was to increase taxes to build up our treasury.
He hangs his head in his hands.
All I wanted was to help the people here have better lives. But all I've done is cause them suffering.
You weren't in control of yourself.
But it was me who made all the rulings and enforced those tax laws.
Not really. Leanna shakes her head.
It wasn't you. That man had a tainted sphere, and he was using it to influence you.
She says influence weird. She puts emphasis on flu. Influence you. It's weird. It's influence. I don't think the influence is a proper pronunciation. I would Google it, but it might mess up the recording because I'd have to like minimize this. So I'm not going to. But I don't think influence. It's. Hold on, I'm Googling on my phone. Here we go.
Influence.
See? Influence. And normally, if it has, you know, if you just Google, like, define blank, it'll offer a pronunciation. Both usually where you can hear it and just kind of the phonetic whatever. I forget exactly what it's called. And if it has multiple pronunciations, it'll say that. You know, even if it's just a split between, like, the noun and the verb, like contrast and contrast, you know? One's a noun, one's a verb. They have different meanings, and they have different pronunciations. You know, just different emphasis put on the different syllables. Influence, to my knowledge, and from that Google, doesn't follow the same kind of rule. It should just be influence. So, not that anyone else cares but me. But there we go. The mayor leans back. He looks tired, as if a huge weight was dropped on him.
I don't deserve to continue as mayor of this town.
This dude is really hard on himself. One of the guards steps forward.
That's not true.
I look over at the voice and recognize him as one of the guards formerly controlled by shadow magic.
I know what it's like when he used that magic. All I could think about was how I could become an honor guard. The thought was overwhelming and I'd do anything to achieve it.
Even in that case, I would want to say honor guard. It's not honor guard. The emphasis here is honor. It's an honor guard. You're already a guard.
I know that wasn't the real you, Mayor.
The other formerly controlled guard steps forward and nods.
Me too. Little Garrett still plays with the toy sword you gave him for his birthday. Says he's practicing for when he joins the guard too.
The other guards in the room murmur their assent.
There's nobody who can run this town better than you.
The mayor glances at the hopeful faces of his guard. In this small town, I can believe that he knows each of them by name. Finally, he gives them a weak smile.
I suppose somebody needs to clean up this mess.
That's right. He gets back to his feet and turns to us.
I don't know how to thank you for what you've done for us.
Leanna smiles warmly.
I'm glad we were able to help.
Absolutely. Zack and I nod.
You must be exhausted. Please, feel free to stay at Raven Pass for as long as you like. You are always welcome here.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
The three of us leave the mayor to his business and head out of the mansion. Once outside, I glance up at the darkening sky. Leanna mirrors my movements.
We should rest up for the night.
Agreed.
I
I
nod.
saw the inn back towards the shops.
Zack leads the way. After turning down a side street, we see the lighted sign for the Hogshead Inn. I stifle a yawn as we head inside. Zack and I sit down at a table while Leanna speaks with the innkeeper. She returns with 2 room keys, looking a bit shocked. Wordlessly, she passes one to Zack. What's going on?
The innkeeper refused to let us pay for the rooms or food.
Oh.
Said it was by order of the mayor, and one he would happily oblige.
Even that word. Oblige? It's not oblige. It's oblige. Like it's not a G, it's not a hard G, but it's... trying to think of other examples. Anyway. I mean, you know, but it's just oblige, not oblige. Right? I'm Googling it again. See?
Oblige.
It's a J kind of sound instead of like an SH kind of sound. Or a ZH, I would rather say. You know, oblige instead of oblige. It's subtle, but there is a difference. Anyway, that was really nice of him. She nods. Another silence falls over us, but this one feels natural and not a bit uncomfortable. After a few minutes, the staff brings out 3 steaming bowls and places one in front of each of us. Once the bowl hits the table, Zack digs in with gusto and practically inhales his food. Leanna and I share a look before we grab our spoons. Ah, stew again? She nods.
It's hearty and filling.
Rabbit again?
Actually, this time it's venison.
Oh. I take a bite. Then the rabbit, even more gross, tastes the same. It wouldn't... I don't think it would taste the same. They have, like, different muscles. But I don't know if it would be better than rabbit. I haven't had rabbit. And I frankly don't know if I've had venison. I'm sure I have with, like, jerky, but that, like, you can't compare... I mean, you can compare, like, jerky to steak kind of thing. But they're way different. But it doesn't taste the same. However, even more gross implies that rabbit's gross. I feel like, again, the most accurate choice I can do here is better than rabbit. No way! This is even better! Leanna grins.
I like venison more.
I try not to wince every time I use my spoon. The fire has eased out of my body, but my shoulder still throbs from when I landed on the ground. Leanna glances at me, then gets up and walks back to the innkeeper. She returns with a oh crap, now I have to look up how to pronounce that. Is it a compress in her hand? I mean, I know the verb to compress, but I don't know it as a noun. I'm not familiar with that word as a noun. She offers it to me with a smile.
This should help with the pain.
I'm Googling it. Okay, so it is compress in this case. That's what I was wondering. Here, play. Play.
Compress.
There we go. See, here, okay, I just want to show you guys actually, again, if you do define blank in Google, you can see if there are multiple pronunciations for a single word in a single use, or it'll separate it by whether like it's a noun, it's an adjective, it's a verb, whatever, if it has a difference. So here's the verb.
Compress.
And then the noun.
Compress.
It's different, like, you know, you say compare and contrast, not compare contrast, because they're different. There are differences within those words. And I also want to point out that, see, I look up that kind of thing for myself when I'm ignorant. It's not just me trying to critique the game, like to really nitpick it. Like, if I don't know how to pronounce something, or if I think that it's pronounced a certain... What I'm saying is, I try to be fair. It's not just me bullying this game or games like it. I do it to myself too. I hold it against my shoulder and smile appreciatively as the pain slowly melts into a dull ache.
Thanks for helping me back there.
I smile. Anytime. I continue digging into my meal. So, what exactly makes shadow magic bad?
It's far more dangerous than any other elemental magic, and it's incredibly unstable and volatile.
Also, it can apparently influence people's minds. And anything really that distorts free will, that's kinda, yeah, it's kinda bad.
The most serious thought of shadow magic is how it's able to amplify the shadowy thoughts of someone's mind.
So the treasurer was manipulating what the mayor was already feeling? She nods.
He might have wanted to help the town by looking to expand, but there's also a bit of selfishness on his part for wanting to do that too. Either greed for more money coming in and more luxurious goods, or wanting more fame and recognition.
Everyone has thoughts like that. It's just a matter of keeping those thoughts in check.
Absolutely, Zack Spade. Leanna nods.
Shadow magic, unfortunately, lets those desires loose in a destructive way.
Is there any way to block against it? Anyway, there's a space. Put the space. I'm nice in some points, like when Riz responded with any time. I didn't bring it up, even though there should have been a space in there. But anyway, should have a space in this case.
Unless you are a mage. Not really.
I like this game so far, by the way. For all of the nitpicking, just know I'm really enjoying myself. It's just another thing I do. I am an English major, and I'm an English major specifically because I enjoy, like, the grammatical aspect of things. So, you know, part of it is out of enjoyment. Part of it is because I still feel like they need a better proofreader, and for the record, I have offered my services to Pixel Fate Studio in that regard. I'm just saying. But part of it is just because it's fun for me. Unless your mage, not really. Leanna picks at her food.
Most people can't control the magic well, and it's very easy for it to backfire and cause more harm to the caster than the intended target.
Oh. That's fair. That treasurer seemed to be handling it well. She looks even more worried.
I know. Which is even more troubling, considering the fact that shadow magic is outlawed in Havengard.
Zack pushes his now empty bowl away from him.
I think he's part of Void.
Leanna's frown deepens.
I think so too. I noticed the branding on his forearm.
What's Void?
They're practitioners of shadow magic. They first rose to power during the struggle of the Three Kingdoms, before the Treaty of Asaria. They wanted to grow their power in the outreach of shadow magic, and a lot of innocent people were killed in the process.
Well, that's not good.
At the height of their power, they grew so powerful and were so destructive that the Three Kingdoms had to set aside their differences and band together.
That's when the treaty was formed. Part of the agreement was to outlaw shadow magic.
Are you really telling me it took 3 kingdoms to take down one cult?
Shadow magic is a lot more powerful than any other elemental magic, which is why there are people who still want to practice it. It's impossible to stabilize the magic, so it's deemed too dangerous to be used.
Gotcha. Zack nods. I see. No wonder both Leanna and Zack seemed so grim when they first noticed the shadow magic. I stifle another yawn.
Is everyone done eating?
Zack and I both nod.
Then I suggest we head to bed.
I second that motion. I'm exhausted.
I know.
She grins and I can feel a rush of warmth to my face. I guess she saw my yawn. Zack leads the way upstairs, clutching one of the keys. We stop in front of 2 adjoining doors.
Well, good night then.
Good night. Zack nods. Leanna turns the key and lets herself into the room, then gently closes the door behind her. Zack also turns the key and lets himself into the second room. As I'm about to follow him in, the door slams shut. Very funny. I turn the handle, but it's locked. What the heck? Zack, let me in. He ignores me, so I pound on the door. Come on, let me in. He doesn't answer, but a couple of people poke their heads out of their rooms and glare at me. See, I assumed I misread it when it said that Leanna came back with just 2 room keys. I thought that it meant like she came back with 2 room keys, handed them to like me and Zach, and then she had her own room key like already pocketed away or something like that. That's just the assumption I made, but apparently that's for this little bit of dramedy. Be more quiet. Sorry. I gently knock on the door. Haha, very funny. You can open the door now, please. No answer. I continue hammering repeatedly on the door. I can keep this up all night. Suddenly, the door swings open and I walk in. The first thing I notice are the 2 twin beds. Zach lounges on one and fixes his stony gaze on me. What the heck was that? Why didn't you let me in?
No space.
There are 2 beds. There are 2 beds. Same exact response. Zach wordlessly walks over to the other bed and pulls back the blankets. Tucked inside the bed are both of his dischargers. That's not cool, man. Not cool. I go to remove the weapons.
What are you doing?
This is my bed.
But then where will they sleep?
I just look at him. Finally, he sighs and collects his dischargers. I lie back on the bed, and as soon as my head hits the pillow, I am asleep. What a good day. Cue outro, go!